Welcome to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larosiliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur Podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur Podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. It's your host, Steve, and today's guest is Corné and Aaron, who are the owners and makers of Maker's Reusable Mold. How are you all doing?
Good. We're good. How are you, Steve?
I'm great. I'm glad to have you on the podcast today. So why don't you tell us about the history of how'd you all get started with Maker's Reusable Mold and how it's taken the woodpreneur industry by storm? So tell us how to get started.
We're makers too. We've got a woodworking business, Airsign Woods. So we've been doing resin for what, like
4 years?
No, longer than that. 5 years?
Going on 5 years, yeah.
About 5 years, we've been doing epoxy resin with a lot of our tables. Corné's an artist. I'm a bit more of I've been making wood products for, oh my goodness, like 15?
Yeah.
15, like tables, furniture, that kind of thing. We saw like the industry spark up with the resin stuff, and I just got sick and tired of making crappy molds.
I think we've done, the first one we did was that willow table.
Yeah.
And we did the whole melamine and the tuck tape and, siliconing the whole thing and just the tuck tape. And then, it was just a disaster. And I'm like, it took us about an hour, 2 hours to cut it all, screw it all together, to tape the mold up. And it's like, what a waste of time. Like, there has to be a better way.
But I should preface it as well. Like with Airsign Woods, when we put the company together, we wanted to be a sustainable business. So within our business, a portion of every sale went back into areas of the world that had seen devastation through forest fire or other things. So we were planting trees, and it was killing me that every time I built a mold to make a table, it was good for about 1 or 2 uses. And then it went into the dump because none of the materials were recyclable. Like you don't recycle MDF, you don't recycle the tuck tape and all the other stuff. And it was kind of like IKEA furniture. It was good for like 1 or 2 moves. That was about it. And then it was done. So I started looking into other products that we could have something that was a little bit more reusable, more friendly, more environmentally friendly, and I happened across the plastic that we use now in our molds, which is HDPE, because it's a non-bondable plastic, so the resin won't stick to it. And I made myself a mold, and then we had other woodworkers. It kept lasting and lasting, so we had other woodworkers asking us if we could make them one. So we did, and thus Maker's Reusable Mold was born.
I think we went to the woodworking show 2 years ago. And we took a sample with us and we gave it to a couple of our friends down there. And at this point, we haven't named or branded our mold yet. It was just, here's something that we're thinking of. Everybody be quiet, hush, hush. We all get together in Toronto, and then all the woodworkers go out together and we go and have dinner and have some drinks and get together. It's really a good community.
It was right before the pandemic. So I think it was like February of
2019 or 2020, yeah. I think.
Yeah, we'd already been using like our own for about a year or two.
Yeah, more than that, since 2018. 2 years that we've been using it, and we got good feedback, and they're like, well, we have nothing else to post, so we got to post it on Instagram. And we're like, well, no, we don't have an Instagram yet, we are not ready for this. Like, we don't have a website, we have a name, we have nothing. So we sat down, we brainstormed, what shall we name this, because we wanted to brand it. We both come from the industry where we work with a lot of brand names, and we know that branding your item is very important, and getting your logo, getting your everything trademarked, and how you would like to have your mold represented and sold and branded and all of that. So we've come from that kind of a background. So we sat down and we got a bunch of different names. I scribbled out and designed some logos and that, and then I designed it on my computer, sent it to him. We worked together. We were thinking blue and black, blue and red and black. What colors are we going to do? And then we finally ended on MRM, Makers Usable Mold.
It's made for makers by makers.
Yeah.
So
because it's not just for resin. So I didn't want the name resin in the actual name, because you can use it for concrete. You can use anything on it, and it doesn't bond. So I didn't want to restrict it to only resin or epoxy, as it has multi-purposes, right? So
yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. And what year did you officially launch?
We officially launched
February 2020.
Yeah.
Wow, during a pandemic business, right?
It was right before the pandemic.
It was right before, because mid-March is when they shut everything down, and we had just gone to the woodworking show in February, which was an in-person show. We saw all our friends there, and that's when we basically started it. And then from there on, then it was a month later, everything shut down.
Everything shut down,
That's cool. We were at home anyway, but at the same time, all of our wood shows got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
We had more time to put into this as well at the time. But
tell us what was that first year like? How did you divide up your time between the both of you, and how'd you get the word out? Like, what were some of the challenges that you went through?
It was insane. We wanted to grow organically. So we figured one of the best ways to do that would be to work with a couple people that we knew, just through woodworking and that kind of thing, that were into resin pouring. And we reached out to a couple influencers to see if they'd like to try out the mold. They put it out online, and it just kind of took off. We both kind of found no, it didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm like that's all we did. We didn't spend...
That was what I think I did that was successful, and we actually want to get back to that. In terms of from our social media, was we kept featuring artists that were artists or woodworkers that were using the molds. We haven't done that in a while, and I really want to start doing that again. She keeps kind of giving me crap about it, giving me grief.
I keep reminding him every week, because that's not my my first language is not English, so I'm not very good. I don't write very well where he does. Like, he can take you and write like a story about you, and then I'll get that's not me.
She's into the craft booking and all, the scrapbooking and all that kind of thing. So that's where the Instagram stories come into play, because she loves the little stickers and all the other stuff along with it. But I think that worked out really well for us, because we had more and more people that were kind of eyes on the brand, and it works. And I think one of the things that at the time, it was only us and one other guy that was actually making molds. He's down in the US, and ours was visibly different from his. We've got the clear front plate on the front of ours. We built it I built them for me, to be honest. Like, if you've done resin pouring, you've done the resin pouring in that too. Like, I put the clear front plate on there so that you can see how deep you were pouring, because you're sitting there with toothpicks half the time trying to measure to see how deep it was. We put the legs on it because trying to find a level surface in your kitchen for just somebody that doesn't have a workshop.
Well, who doesn't start on the dining room table and kitchen counter? Like, your first pour you do on your kitchen table, or on the floor, on the carpet, or somewhere in the house, because that's where it's warm enough. It's just it's where everybody starts. So
and then it's just kind of blossomed from there. So we had other people requesting different shapes, so we came up with the round ones.
We did an oval table ourselves, and we designed the oval, but we also designed all of our molds, so it's all modular, like it all fits almost inside.
I know it's really well designed and well packaged. I think you all know that I bought a coffee table one. Did you know that?
You got the coffee table.
I didn't know. She just told me that. So.
Yeah.
I knew about it. Well, because I pack every single one of these molds myself, so I know what goes into them, and if there's something missing, I can only blame myself, right?
Sure. That's cool. So how did you learn about, like, you know, I think as like makers, you're always like curious and about tinkering and that sort of stuff, right? Like, how did you know what types of, you know, the plastic and then the sourcing, like, was it like hours and hours? And like, I mean,
it was a long process. Once we got the HDPE and we were happy with using the 1/2 inch, it has some flexibility. So when you remove the sides, it bends with it, because if that was stiff, it would break just like glass. If you then pull the table to the end and you removed all 4 sides, if you just get your chisel in the bottom of the base, you press your base down, then you're able to lift up the top piece, right? To release. I know. But what I'm saying is that, so we like the 1/2 inch. So now we have to find a manufacturer that get the 1/2 inch, and then we have to, like, you know, negotiate prices and how much do we have to buy to get a price break. So we slowly but surely did that. We called Rampatech. We knew that when we did this, we don't want to cheap out and, you know, have Home Depot inserts or Amazon inserts. We wanted to go with proper plastic inserts. These ones are made in Germany. So we reached out to Rampatech. He sent us a bunch of samples, which we had to pay for all of them. So we, and then where do we drill the holes? He designed all of that on the computer, and we had all of that, like he drafted
like
up
a CAD software, like a CAD type thing?
He did all of that. So designed all the rounds, and we designed all the rounds to fit inside of each other. And then all of those can also just be rings that will fit inside of the coffee table base, or the 24 by 16 or the 16 by 12.
Like
so they're all like modular. So you just have like the actual rings that just fits inside, and you silicone it down. So we designed all of them with maximizing the cutting on the sheets on the CNC. And then we start, you know, cutting them on CNC and doing them like precise. So we know they come off of the CNC every single time exactly the same.
Perfect.
So we got samples sent to us. We contacted Agfix for silicone, and we said, we need to sell your product because our product needs silicone. So it was just basically picking up the phone, calling people, getting, you know, see what we can do. And it was a long process, though.
With the plastic, I went into a plastics distributor. They're like big warehouse factory type thing, and they had every type that was in the market. And I talked to them as well, what could bond, what wouldn't, and everything else, to figure out exactly what to use and how to use it. And HCP was the one. The great part about this is like I actually retired our first mold that we made last year. It was, we used it for probably like 400 plus uses. And when I took it apart I was able to take it in and have the whole thing recycled.
Wow.
So the plastic, the ACP is the same kind of plastic that you get in your milk jugs. A lot of other stuff is made from it too. The steel obviously can all be it can all be removed. You can use it for another project, or you could have it recycled too, because it can go right into the recycling. So the whole thing can be recycled.
That's so cool. That's so cool. But what's it like? I mean, you both of you are like, you know, life partners, business partners. How, like, what's that like?
We've always worked together since the first day we met. We met working together.
Okay.
So
I met at work. We actually.
What was your careers before?
We did marketing and sales on cruise ships.
Okay.
We were in charge of marketing for the islands that the islands or countries that the ships would go to. So we worked together as a couple. We worked together, ate together, slept together, played together, did everything together. We were like. It was kind of like there was no courting in terms of the normal courting relationship where you spend like a couple days apart, and then you see each other and you talk on the phone. We just, from day one, we were 24/7. So I
think when we went to South Africa, I'm from South Africa. So when we went back to South Africa after we got back from one of our contracts, I think you went out on the farm with my dad for the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's the longest that we've ever been apart, was like we've been apart for 8 hours that we haven't seen each other or something. My dad took him out on the farm. So as working together, and when I get tired of him, I kick him out and he can go to his woodworking shop. I continue doing my molds.
But then, we used to fight like cats and dogs, but now we finish each other's sentences. So at the end of the day,
it works out. You know, I've said
think of something and then he's like, I was thinking the same thing.
I've said that a similar thing on the podcast, that like you just need a partner that supports you in your business, you know, and it's even better if you can be in business with your partner. How did you like finance this company from the beginning?
We had a bit of money set aside to buy in bulk, but it pretty much just grew organically.
Yeah, what we did was
we didn't have to go take a big loan or anything like that.
No, we started with, and also because we didn't have any additional expenses as far as a big storage warehouse or anything like that. We only got that towards the end. We got like a separate storage unit just to store them all, but we don't have that anymore. We're just all on property now. I think what happened was we were putting out orders as 2 weeks to ship, 2 to 3 weeks to ship. And then as people were ordering, we would take that money and then go buy the plastic and then make it. So we would ship out items that was already ordered.
We're doing it more in a made to order, as opposed to now.
Start with. And then we could, we would, be able to, sell some molds and then buy a little bit extra plastic and make a little bit extra molds, right, from that. So that's just it just grew organically. Same with our Instagram as well. We don't pay for followers. We just have we just have people either follow us or they don't. I post my silly stories. If they enjoy it, they can follow us. But I feel like, if they want our molds, and they'll find us.
Yeah. And absolutely. I almost feel like being able to, the biggest thing is like building a community around your brand, and, to get back to what you had talked about, like resharing. That's what I did with Acres of Timber in the beginning. It's like I got everybody together that was like, a sawmill owner. And then eventually I got people to start using the Woodpreneur hashtag. And so, the woodworking community is very powerful. I've joked, and people have heard me say this on the podcast, that like, if I ever really needed to leave the country, like if I had to leave the United States, I would go to Ontario. I would go to I'd go to like where you are, because there's so many woodworkers there. Like, and it's like a community, you know what I mean? And so
we definitely are. Yeah. And it's awesome that's what was so fun about going to these woodworking shows, because I'm telling you, there was 70 or 80 of us that would all get together, and we all make the same things almost. But some people specialize a little bit more in this, other people do a little bit more this, but we all one big community. So
you have some guys that were like, I remember the first one that we went to about 5 years ago. We went in and we were talking to some of the guys, and this wooden resin was it had already been around for a little while, but all people were seeing was basically the river tables. And a bunch of the woodworkers that were there that hadn't worked with epoxy resins or anything, they're like, this is just a fad, it's going to fade out. And I was saying the whole time, I'm like, this is, I don't think so. I think people, all they found is they found another tool to add to their repertoire that's going to keep, and it's going to change the industry, because even if a style fades out, the great part about the resins is you can still have wood, and you can still mix it in, and you can come up with different designs in that, so that we can still stay on top of the game and keep actually moving that industry forward, which is really cool. And we're here and we're still using it, right?
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of the people have said, live edge is going to go down. Epoxy is going to go down. And I don't think so. You know why? Because it's still in this bubble.
Yeah.
Right. Like, only woodworkers are still the ones kind of like, and it's not like, I think if like, Pier 1 or IKEA, right? Like if the big manufacturers were doing the things that we're doing, like then it would probably die down, but I don't think so. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so specialized and
it's all one
and
of
it's
a
not,
kind. You can't
it's all one of a
redo.
kind. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not scalable, right? So like doing these molds and these custom and the custom color, it's not like a big company. They don't, what are you going to build a factory just for that? No. Right. Like, so,
Yeah, well, we are the factory. So you're looking at the
you
factory,
are the factory.
right? Yeah. Quality control, factory, shipping facility, shipping admin, finances, everything, accounting, we do it all.
So, and then you also have, so you're an artist and then Aaron has his wood shop. How do you balance both? Like how much time are you spending on each?
It's hard because I feel like the molds take up the most of my time right now.
Yeah.
It really does, because when we cut, we don't just cut one coffee table and drill one coffee table and do the sides. Like when we do coffee tables, we do 20 or 40 of them.
The molds,
coffee table molds. We do, let's say, 40 of them at a time, right? You cannot just jump from one to the other. So sometimes I have like my rounds, and I will have round orders that has come in, and they maybe wait like a week or 10 days. And in one day, I'll just spend shipping all rounds out all at the same time. I'll assemble them all. I put all the stickers on. I cut everything, everything gets done at the same time.
And people think like a CNC is just like press a button and walk away, but there's the setup and keeping an eye on things and all that kind of stuff too. So it's funny because like, I think the only way that we've been able to grow the mold business in particular is because Ontario, as you're probably aware, we've had like more lockdowns than I think any country. So every show that we were going to do has been canceled, or they've gone virtual. So it's gone online, which in a way is, I find that it doesn't work that well. We did one show last year, Christmas, two shows over Christmas as they kind of started opening back up a little bit. And the mold thing, it was good that we were set up for the molds because we wouldn't have had enough product. You didn't have enough product for the first show.
No, I didn't.
And then I was out until like 5, 6 in the morning, sanding and making more product to have ready for the shows. So, but to kind of like answer your question with how do we balance it, because we didn't have the shows, we were able to grow the molds. And now that we have things more set up and we're a little bit more, not economical is not the word I'm looking for. Now that we're a little bit more streamlined in terms of how we're running everything, we'll be able to step into the woodworking and be able to balance the two. We may have to hire an employer or two, but we're
I also think that
she's against that.
I also think the big thing is that we had a 4-year-old that just started school in September. So she's finally out of our hair during the day.
Yeah.
So that frees up a lot of time.
It's like a breath of fresh air. You're like, I love my kid, but I'm so glad that they're not home, right?
Oh man, well when the kids were doing like online learning, it was
with all the shutdowns, they were home.
It was
right?
so difficult because they'd be in the workshop coming in, mommy, daddy, and we're just okay, so
how many kids do you have?
2.
10 and he just turned 5, so 10 and 5.
Okay. Yeah.
So that makes it a bit, but now that they're back in school, we have a little bit, I'm like, okay, so right now I'm going to ship out, let's say in the last 2 days, we've shipped out 15 coffee tables.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now I'm setting up in getting all my rounds assembled so I can get those. And then tomorrow I'll do all my smaller molds.
That's cool.
So I can do 5 or 6 of them all at the same time. With coffee tables, I do 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah. And that's like the whole made to order and then packaging them and then shipping them out, right?
Not right now. Right now we have stock. We have molds in stock. They already cut. They are on shelves. They're not assembled because we pack them unassembled, as you know.
Yeah.
But the legs still have to be drilled. We have to put inserts in. So that is they're just on shelves right now. And then I have my strapping machine, and I just take the box and I put the foam in and everything that needs to go in. So so now we're pretty much good. We are we have everything in stock, except for my really big ones. I'm sold out already on those.
On the cup
34 inch rounds, 30 inch rounds. I have 26 on end.
Have you found shipping prices gone up for you?
A little bit, but what we were able to do, because we were shipping in bulk, we were able to reach out to like UPS and get some kind of discount as well. It's the materials for packaging materials have really gone up.
Boxes.
There's a shortage on board for boxes, and we have, for the coffee table molds, we have custom boxes made for those. Speaking of which, I got to place another order, but we have custom ones made for those, which that takes time, a lot more time, and it costs more now. We weren't strapping them in the beginning either, so we were getting some. I think like the beginning, the first year was like a real learning process in terms of, because neither one of us had ever looked at packaging on this kind of scale before. So trying to figure out packaging so there wasn't damages.
I would go to the dollar store and buy 100 pool noodles in the middle of March and walk out. I'm like, how many boxes of pool noodles do you guys have? So I would buy all day pool noodles, cut one slot in it, and then the coffee table base would fit perfectly in there all the way around. And that's how I used to ship it.
Oh my
Until we
gosh.
got our boxes cut and made, and I was cutting and scoring the boxes myself. And
Oh my gosh.
so much time. Like, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Like, it's come a long way.
The foam that we're using now, I looked into. I literally, some guy was closing down a warehouse, and I found a post online for like, does anybody need packaging foam? And I'm like, yeah, me, okay. So I went and got it, and it turned out
amazing.
That was what was in your box when you got it.
That white thick foam.
And, it turned out that there's only one company in Canada that you can get it through that's actually the wholesaler. So it took me like 2 months of research to actually find this company that was making and selling the foam. And that's what we use now, because it's the best stuff that we could find, because it's got like a nice slick surface, so it doesn't scratch the HCP or anything like that.
Sure.
Where we started to where we are now, it's just sometimes we just look back and laugh. It was just, but we didn't know any better. So we kind of learned a lot with it too. So,
but no more pool noodles.
No.
So tell me, so this is a part of the interview where I give you any marketing or business advice. And so is there anything that has come up recently, marketing or business wise, that I could help you with?
I don't know.
I think we definitely need to grow our Instagram. And like I said, we really like to do it organically. So I don't know. And also I probably need to make more instructional videos as well, which I really try to do, but I don't have time to do it because my 2 8-foot by 4-foot tables in my workshop is full of molds that's being assembled to get ready to be boxed up. They're full of orders. So I have to remove all of that to be able to use my space for epoxy pours.
I find Instagram is because we're on 3 platforms, right? So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and our social media platforms, and TikTok now. We didn't pay that much attention to our TikTok in the beginning, and now Corné's paying a lot more attention to it. Instagram's always been more the focus because you can cross post, right, over onto the Facebook. But I think we need to look into more more sales platforms or advertising. I guess more advertising platforms as opposed to Instagram's the most successful. But I'm wondering if there's more out there as well.
Well, what would happen? Like what happened just last year, where Instagram and Facebook was down, right?
Yeah.
Remember when
of course. Yeah. For a day.
Everybody was freaking out.
Everybody was freaking out. So I have some feedback. One is like, we have this thing called the Woodpreneur Method, and it's like mindset, branding, community, and sales, right? And so for you, I think building more of a community around your brand is really important. And you have, what's that girl? The Roni, right?
Roni?
Or Roni. You have her, and you have other people posting, continue that. And, in terms of if you wanted to make instructional videos, like if you didn't have time to do it, like outsource it to one of your customers to do it. You know what I mean? And like, and that's one thing. An area for you that I would look at is, do you do any advertising, any paid advertising?
We have, like, are you talking on the social media or just in general?
On social media, yeah.
So we have, but I find that it's not, I don't know if we haven't seen very much return on it.
You kind of need to set it up properly. In order for you to do it. So let me, I'm going to go to your website. And so I guess for one is, you need to get your Facebook pixel on your website. And the Facebook pixel allows you to retarget people so that you can lower, because you already have a customer list, right? And you have people that have signed up and already follow you. So like you have 12,000 followers, but not everybody that follows you is a customer, right? And so by having a pixel onto your website, and what you can do is that it allows you, because like if you advertise, if somebody visits your site, you know when you visit a website and then you somehow go to Facebook and Instagram and then you get an advertisement based off of them. Do you ever notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when you're talking about it and it just pops up.
Yeah, exactly. That allows you to do that. That allows you to tap into that. So that's one thing.
Are you saying Facebook pixel or a Facebook icon?
Facebook pixel.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, we'll look into it.
We'll talk to you about that.
Yeah. We'll talk to you. And then the other thing is, because you're like a visual thing, right? Like, and you naturally have commercials. I would potentially look at like YouTube commercials, because with YouTube, again, if you wanted to just kind of take it up a notch. So this is probably like when you're like super cash flow positive and you know what, and you're like, I want to invest $500 or $1,000 a month in advertising, right? Because like really, what's that? To break even, that's like a couple molds to break even on that, right? And then what you do is like, then you'll get the brand awareness from there. So that's one thing. But what I would do now to build more of a community is, do you have your own branded hashtag?
Yes. Hashtag makers reusable mold.
So go through and just engage with more of those people that use it, right? And maybe it's just part of your practice of just like, hey, that looks great, or just kind of engage with them or send them a message and do that sort of thing. That's one thing. The second thing to sort of build up more engagement, more community, is to potentially have your own Facebook group and have a Facebook group strictly for your customers, where you can hop in weekly and just talk about like what you're doing, because then and then if they give you your email address, then you can bolster up your email address some more. Like and then the last thing is, so one is user branded hashtag. Two is to get all of your customers into a Facebook group. And then three is just send out regular monthly emails.
Okay.
Where you can highlight your customers and highlight the community. It's all about community right now, right? It's literally all about community. And then to be able to do that. And then once you start sort of doing that a little bit more, when you have time to invest a little bit more, I would look into, add the Facebook pixel, and I would look into YouTube ads. Facebook ads are expensive. They're getting more expensive. And I've found some good results with clients on YouTube as well. So
we do have a YouTube channel. I haven't posted anything on that. I have like 1 or 2 videos on there on our YouTube video channel.
Encourage your customers to make video and you'll post them up on your YouTube channel. Encourage your customers to do that.
Yeah, I did. Remember, I did the contest last year. I asked everybody to make like a video, and I got like a bunch of like good videos in and that. So it's just I have to sit down and just get those uploaded onto the upload onto YouTube. I think that'll be good because it's just to show it on the round, so you can remove the ring and use the ring as an actual template to cut your wood.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's great.
Like just little things that we've, anyway.
Cool. All right. So how can people get in touch? What's your website, Instagram? How could they support your business?
Our website is makersmold.com, makersmold.com.
Yeah.
Our Instagram is at Makers Reusable Mold. Facebook is at Makers Reusable Mold. TikTok is at Makers Reusable Mold.
and YouTube is at Makers Reusable Mold as well.
Awesome.
We're pretty quick to respond through any of those platforms. So it's usually one of the best ways. We're faster at responding through there than we are to emails. So that's probably the best way to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Corné, Aaron, thank you so much for your time and sharing your story. And I'm excited to get your story out there for the Woodpreneur community.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for checking out the latest episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. If you found value and love what you listened to, please subscribe, rate, and review so that more people can learn about our mission and vision. Lastly, join our community, the Woodpreneur Membership Community. It's a marketing and training program to help you market and build your wood business past 6 figures. Give it a test and apply what you learned to your business.